All right, we're going to start our study of arrays. And an array is simply a way of holding multiple values in one storage spot. The disadvantage is all of the items have to be of the same type. All right, int tells me what type of array it is. The open and closed square bracket says that this will be an array. I now have a name. We're going to call this one nums. Then I say equals new int, and the number that goes in here is the size of the array, or the length of the array. So this array called nums can hold a maximum of 10 values. I don't have to fill it, but I can only use up to 10 items. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a for loop, and I'm going to loop through and print out the values that are put into the initial array. So this is going to say print out the values of nums, and we're going to say I, because that's our counter, and then we're going to have is nums I. So this would first print out nums 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if I compile this and run it, all right, you will see that I have, there we go. The values are 0 all the way through. Well, that should not surprise us, because a primitive type, when declared, is given a value of 0. So all the values are initially 0. That's something we need to keep in mind. I've now put a couple of spaces. All right, we want to know the length of the array in case we need to use this for something. Notice that this is just simply nums.length, no open and closed parentheses. So I have an int value called len that is nums.length. And now what I'm going to do is fill the array. So for int I equals 0 to I less than the length of the array, I will increment, and I'm going to put in the values of I into the array space I. So not surprisingly, array or num0 will contain 0, etc. So if I again compile and run, and there we are. So we say that the length is 10, and then we print out 0 through 9. No big surprise there. Now, I've now printed that out. There we go. Now, just looking at it slightly differently, this is a print, not a print line. The print line put in a new line each time. A print just puts everything one right after another, and I put a comma after it. The downside here is, oh, by the way, I'm going to have a comma after the last value. And so if we look at this, there you go, whoops, 0, comma, etc. There are ways around that, but I don't care that much if I have the extra 0. All right, so those, how do you fill it? How do you declare it? I can do exactly the same thing. I can say, if I put the E in to make life better, double nums2 new, and so now I have an array of doubles. Whoops. And then I have an array of strings. Now, if we borrowed this loop and come down and let's make this 12, and we'll call this nums2, one would not be terribly surprised if for nums2 I get all zeros. And what we can do so we know what we're really doing, okay. Now let's redo this, and all right, let's take this and see what happens with my string. And this should be 4, and so with any luck, all right, there we go. This shows that a string, when declared, is null. We will use that later to our advantage, but we need to know that that's what's going to happen. That is one way that we can declare and initialize an array of values.